Welcome on into 19 on the Clock, your Tri-State High School and College Sports podcast. I'm your host, Brad Pushkar. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jackson McCarty. And Jackson, how are you doing this fine day?
I'm doing swell, Brad. About yourself?
Living life, happy, wonderful.
La Vida
Everything's
Loca?
great. Yeah, living La Vida Loca. I love that. Yeah. And, it's tournament time.
It is.
It's
on
crazy to
every
say.
level.
Yeah.
Other than Indiana.
Correct.
Indiana, me and Brad actually were talking about this off camera. We will be, at least on my portion of the fence, an Indiana podcast for like 2 or 3 weeks at the end of this, which will be kind of cool because it's the one that, is kind of the hardest to get a hold of. Mm-hmm. But point being, Kentucky, Indiana, baseball, and softball, high school-wise, are in their district tournaments. And I'm going to let you guys know this first week we will primarily be focusing on the Ohio baseball games because of scheduling. We're trying to kind of work out how we're going to do that for future episodes. We've had similar issues like with basketball where we were kind of messing with record days. But we will obviously open the umbrella a little bit more in future reference, but we are going to start with 3 Ohio baseball games that are all tri-state teams playing against each other.
Yes, and on the college side, we've got plenty of tournaments starting up. Honestly, I think it's as we record in an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, no, in an hour and 45 minutes, we're going to start seeing some baseball being played. And so we'll kind of go over where the local teams are playing with that. But let's start off, like you said, with the high school Ohio baseball stuff. And you've got a couple of districts to talk about. Let's start off with Clark Montessori facing off with Seven Hills.
Yes. So this is our Division 5 Southwestern 3 district. Mm-hmm. So we'll lead off with Clark Montessori. Been a real interesting team to me so far this year. They are 12-14, but 7-5 within the Miami Valley Conference. So had a real good run within their stretch there. They've already played their opponent twice this year. Obviously, this is a Miami Valley Conference game, getting the third, set in the series. Clark Montessori is down 2-0, but we saw marked improvement between the first and the second. So they lost to Seven Hills 6-0, and then the next time, I believe, was about 3 weeks ago. They lost 3-2.
Okay.
So that margin narrowed real fast, and they've got some real promising numbers to run through right here. 281 for team batting average, 4.12 team ERA, getting up there a little bit, but they do put enough runs on the board that it works itself out pretty okay.
Okay.
And so for the sake of a little bit of brevity, so you guys can understand kind of the big names you need to know, I tried to go with like a big 3 concept here, and you'll see that I just did not stick to my format.
I tried to do the big 3, and I failed. Is
Yes,
what you're saying.
exactly.
Yes.
I think I hit like 60% of a clip on big 3s. But when you have guys like Garvin Dixon and Ethan Ernst, it becomes a big 2, but also kind of a big 4 because they're so good both directions. Yes. We'll start with the batting stats. Garvin Dixon, 345 on 55 ABs. A home run to his name, 24 RBIs, Brad, 19 stolen.
Hey.
And 2 triples. So plenty of base running speed there. Can drive a man in. Got a little bit of power. We know that he can go over the fence, obviously. Has done it once this year. Mm-hmm. And then you've got another guy with him, like I mentioned, Ethan Ernst. Both are also a senior. 441 on 68 ABs.
Very nice.
Yeah, 19 RBIs, 23 stolen, and then 5 doubles. So they're while they're not just knocking it out of the park all that often, they're driving guys in.
Yes.
They're not going to leave very many folks on the pads there. And whenever you pair their offensive output with their pitching output, you see where they really become a problem. So going back to Dixon, pretty much 28 innings pitched, 27.2. He's 2-1, 3.54 ERA, 40 strikeouts. So well over 1 an inning, doing good for himself. Ethan Ernst, 21.1 innings pitched, works a little bit more in relief from what I understand. Also 2-1. 2.62 ERA, 37 strikeouts. So a couple guys that can punch dudes out, keep the scores low, win for their team, and then get out there with the bat in their hands and do more damage and propel themselves kind of forward to getting those wins anyways.
Yeah, and it's always nice to have players that can like if you're going to ask I know you're not going to, but if you were to ask me of like who would I want to, kind of pedestal of those 2, I think Ethan's got a little bit of an edge there where even though he doesn't have a homer, a couple less RBIs, he feels more like the guy that gets on base to get everyone else to get set up for everyone else to, bring him in, help him out, things like that. And then 6 less innings pitched, almost as many strikeouts. Like, that's really solid.
Absolutely. And I don't know about his, like, how his arm holds up long term, because like I said, from what I am gathering from the stats, he is a little bit more of a relief guy.
Sure.
But whenever you call him in, you feel comfortable. I kind of led with Garvin being a little bit more of a primary starter, having that 1 home run leading the team in RBIs, but with the combined base running speed that you're getting from both of them, with all the other fundamentals of hitting for contact, keeping guys from coming around when they're on the mound. It's a scary duo to have to face.
Absolutely, yeah.
But fortunately, fortunately for Seven Hills, they have faced the duo. As pre-mentioned, they have come away with 2 wins, and they're in a little bit better of a position at the end of the season. They're 12-6, 8-2 within Miami Valley, a 4-game winning streak to end the year. 8-1 in their last 9 games. If you extend that one more to get to the 10 count, 8-2, and it was a loss in extras, I believe, to Cincinnati Country Day. And it was like 5-4. So like very, very narrow, very hot running team as it stands right now. And then when you look at the team batting averages and team ERAs, you figure out why pretty quick. 3.04 team BA, 2.68 ERA. So just not a whole lot that they don't do well.
I say both of those are very good numbers to be pulling out.
Honestly, those are numbers that if they were on the, like when we were kind of doing the pre-playoff coverage, those wouldn't have looked out of place. And we had some really freaky numbers spreading throughout that.
Yeah, we did.
Like there were some real horrific, in the best way possible.
Yeah.
But that blends right in. So do have a traditional big 3 for them now. Pitcher David Haas will lead with him, 44.2 innings pitched, 5-4, because he's out there a lot, 1.88 ERA, and then 79 strikeouts. And then I'll mention a little bit of his hitting, batting .333, 16 RBIs, that was second on the team. So providing plenty of value, be it pitching or hitting.
Yeah.
Then we've got a couple of hitters I want to talk about here. Jackson Harmon, .333 on 54 ABs, 19 RBIs, 7 stolen, 2 doubles. And then what I can only assume is his twin brother, Caleb Harmon, .269 on 52 at-bats, 15 RBIs, 2 doubles. Very fundamentally solid team, not just crazy power by any stretch. We do have a team coming up before long that has a little bit of that pop, but it's in high school ball, you kind of just expect that contact and those doubles and whatever to roll in. Seven Hills has found a formula that works for them and works for them very well.
It does seem that way.
Yeah. So if I was kind of leaning a general direction, honestly, I'm more impressed by the numbers that Garvin and Ethan put up for Clark. I feel a little bit more drawn to that. I do like that they got closer. I think this could absolutely be an upset watch type of thing. But Seven Hills being up 2-0 in the series is kind of hard to pick against that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the mind always that, I think baseball's a little bit of a different beast because there's so many games that get played against the same teams. But it's always hard to beat a team 3 times in a year.
Yeah, especially when that margin is like it hasn't been an 11-0 game
at
any point. Like 6-0, I understand is a little bit lopsided, but they very clearly figured something out.
Yeah, they made the adjustments in that time. Also weather could have been a factor or something like that on that 3-2 day or the 6-0 day.
Right.
Who knows? I think my brain goes, yeah, I would take Seven Hills to just be the expected winner. But I wouldn't be surprised if Clark does something a little different, or maybe he's finally really figured out who to target and play around and finds their way to victory through that.
Yeah, breaks the mold and manages to push on through the districts. Yes. Either way, I would hope that the crowd is going to be pretty active for that, because getting 2 Miami Valley Conference teams in that first round, that's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just a good time.
Having interconference stuff is always best. That's the best way to do it.
Absolutely. Well, and we got quite a bit of MVC coverage because we've got another one coming up in this next matchup.
Okay.
So we've got the Reading Blue Devils and then the Roger Bacon Spartans. Roger Bacon obviously representing the Miami Valley Conference, but we will start in the Hills League with Reading.
Yes.
So they are 14-7 at this point in the year, 9-5 within the CHL. They started 1-3, lost to Indian Hill twice. Very good team, very, very talented team, and then Wyoming as well. Which in that the Wyoming loss was 1-0, if I'm remembering correct. Overall, they have a .268 team batting average, 2.65 team ERA. That's where the money is. And I kind of panicked myself for just half a second because I thought I was reading the wrong notes for the last one, but it's because Haas and Hess looked so similar to me. Yes. So for their big two, but really four, it is focusing on Charlie Hess and Connor Davis. A pair of seniors. We'll go with the batting again first. Charlie Hess has .414 on 58 batting average or plate appearances, 28 RBIs, 5 stolen, 10 doubles, and a triple. Connor Davis follows him up, .492 on 65 ABs, 22 RBIs, 11 stolen, 14 doubles, 3 triples. He's leading the pack as the batter. And then Charlie kind of becomes the forefront pitching-wise. He has 51 innings pitched. He's 5-3, but he's got a 1.51 ERA.
Very nice.
Yeah, and 73 punch-outs. So not a whole lot of inefficiency rolling for him. He gets the job done pretty much every turn. And then Connor, 39 innings pitched, 4-2, 2.33 ERA. Definitely not a bad ordeal by any stretch. And then 66 strikeouts. So again, another one of those two-headed monsters that you really got to worry about. And they had a couple more guys on the roster that are definitely going to contribute. But going from 1-3 to 14-7, so 13-4 in your final stretch of games, you feel pretty good about the Blue Devils in any capacity.
I would say this feels like a team that keeps scores low, just because of the batting average being what it was at basically we'll say 0.26, 27. But keeping that low ERA is what I think really is going to be this feels like a defensive side.
Yes, which, is going to be kind of a tougher one when you have Roger Bacon, because that was the team that I was alluding to that's got a little bit more pop than we're used to at this level. Okay. They are 11-11, 6-6 in conference. So, split.
Perfectly balanced.
Yep, right down the middle. Calm down, Thanos. They have a .272 team batting average, 4.11 team ERA, and 6 home runs, tied first in the MVC. But the thing that I'm kind of, I don't guess, drawn to with them, but wanted to make sure we make a note of, is how streaky they are.
Yeah.
They never had just one win or one loss and then followed it up with the opposite. Their season went as told. 5 wins to 4 losses to 3 wins to 7 losses to 3 wins. They lose or win in bunches.
Yeah.
Without fail.
So we're on a 3-win streak.
Correct.
Heading into this.
Yes.
Okay.
So their longest being 5. If you're big on the whatever of that, they got 2 more till they're topping that.
Yeah.
But that also they're already in line with it currently, or so.
Well, here's the thing: you can't streak losses now.
Exactly.
So
they
can only win.
That what I like the spin zone on that, Brad.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, and I'm sure the Spartans do too. And so now we're getting to the big 2, but kind of 3. I really am sorry. This was not intentionally. I was like, this will be a really good idea. This will keep me short because, in basketball season, we talked about a Batman and Robin thing.
Yes.
And I was like, big 3, perfect. I can lean into whichever side of batting or pitching they're better at, and then have one of each. And then I was just like, there's just so many two-way guys in the high school level.
It's okay.
Yeah. So Kyle Miller, I blame you for being so good both ways. He is a junior, so we get another year of him after this.
Okay.
323 on 62 at-bats. 2 of those 6 homers are him. 20 RBIs to his name. 5 stolen. 5 triples. That was such a magic number to me.
I would say that feels like a power hitter to me.
Yes.
So.
Well, and still with a little bit of speed to him, because if he's getting it all the way out there and still managing to get to third, there's some threat to be had.
Very true.
And then we do have a couple of arms. staying with Kyle Miller first, 39 innings pitched. Believe he is leading the team in innings. 3-4, 3.59 ERA, 40 strikeouts, pretty much at that one strikeout inning line. And then right behind him, you've got senior Robbie Brenner, 28 innings pitched, 3-2, 3.75 ERA, 32 strikeouts. Solid, efficient, effective. An interesting team to look at on paper because it is a little bit more of an isolated event. There's not just a ton of extracurriculars within the roster, and like you don't see that many guys with 10 RBIs. You don't see that many guys really with anything more than like 7 or 8. But they find a way to put together these win streaks and get rolling, and a lot of that does rely on the pitching side of stuff. So seeing how Kyle and Robbie string that together, especially in this game, against a very dangerous Reading team that we know is capable of punching people out. If you can get those bats rolling, you can find that hot hand, you can put a little juice in it, they're going to be a threat.
Yeah, I agree.
No, it's
it's one of those things where when I look at this on paper, I lean Reading.
Right, naturally.
And it just feels like I want to say cleaner team in a way, whereas like you said with the streakiness, you're getting bursts from Roger Bacon. I lean Blue Devils in this over the Spartans right now.
I would too. I just with the ability to put some balls over the fence, Kyle Miller being such a threat to get to third, that just kind of piqued my interest enough. And the beauty of, and obviously you know this, we've talked about this a million times, but the beauty of when we get to this portion of the season for all of our seasons is getting to talk about the teams that we usually don't get to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, being able to be like, hey, here's what Roger Bacon was all about this year. I hope somebody gets some enjoyment out of that, be it today, tomorrow, a year from now, whatever. And, you know, they can kind of remember, oh, yeah, Kyle Miller was really good that year. Or, you know, like, you know, that's...
He did hit those home runs.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
He was a triple monster, you know, like, and you know, that's the fun of it. And we get into that again as well with LaSalle and Hughes, which will be our final game that we'll talk about today.
Yes.
So the Lancers, obviously we did talk about Moeller, so this is, I believe, only the second GCL South team we've got to talk about, because I don't think we talked about St. X.
No.
Did we talk about Elder?
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Elder feels more. I know we didn't talk about St. X because you haven't said Bombers, but
yeah,
I don't think Elder we may have.
I feel like because I didn't look at their numbers whenever I was doing this, but I wanted to say that they were one of those teams that had like a fairly low BA, but their ERA was really good, which is also just kind of the GCL South. But all in all, the Lancers are 12-10, 4-5 in the South, and you talked about perfectly balanced earlier, Brad. You don't get much closer. Yeah, exactly. They have so.
Oh, yeah.
Mathematically, they allow and score the same amount of runs per game, 4.1 on the season. 92 runs scored, 91 runs allowed.
Okay.
And then 226 team batting average, 306 team ERA.
All right.
So you know lower. The hits than you'll want, but the team ERA gets you where you need to be. An actual big three here. Trey Hummel, their senior, is a pitcher, kind of leading the way here. 26.2 innings pitched, 3-1, 2.36 ERA, 26 strikeouts. So you know, he's going more for pop outs, line drives, things of that nature.
Grounders to the second baseman to get him out at first, yeah.
Right, and it works. You know, 2.36
Absolutely.
ERA. He's found where he needs to be. I would imagine, having not been to a game of his at this point in the year, I would imagine that he's big on low in the zone, just right into the dirt types of games there. And then you've got a couple interesting batters that we want to hit on. Isaac Goldschmidt, he's a senior, 291 in 55 ABs, 1 homer, 15 RBIs, 3 doubles, 2 triples. And then to close us out, kind of who I would imagine is going to be at the forefront of their batting next year, Justin Lynch. He is a junior, 305 on 59 ABs, 13 RBIs, 2 doubles.
Okay.
Yeah. So very solid team. Not by any means safeguarded from an upset. And it's really interesting because you do not know much about Hughes at this point in the year, and that myself as much as anybody else, because like they were 2-6 by the end of the year. They had 9 canceled or postponed games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, their schedule, like you click into it and it's just littered with cancel.
I'd say at that point it's more than half the games.
Right.
Type
Yeah,
thing.
it absolutely is because they played 8 and got 9 canceled.
Yeah.
Or postponed. So it was a dramatic affair for them. But it is worth mentioning that 3 of those 6 losses were 3 runs or fewer.
Okay.
And I think 2 of them were 1 run. So they hang in there. They have a couple nasty games? Sure. But who isn't?
Everyone does.
Right.
Yeah.
It's baseball. Like, you're not going to be perfect. The unfortunate of this, with the stink I've made about the big 3, there's not very many stats reported for this team.
Sure.
2 and 3 games for most of the guys. They're credited with a sub-2 ERA, which at first was making me lose my mind. Because I was looking at like the scores, and I was like, there's just no way that's possible. And then I realized it was 20 innings pitched.
Okay.
So, through the first 20 innings of the season, whatever it's accounting for, they were running pretty hot. But the reason we want to talk about Hughes, again, like I said, we're not going to have very many chances, and we didn't have any chances to talk about Hughes at a prior point this year.
Yeah.
But 2, when you have LaSalle, who really just hasn't been that great of a hitting team to this point in the year, that's going to leave the door open. And so you have this real mystery bag from the Big Red that could be a threat. I'm not saying it's going to be, but it could be a threat where it's like, oh, we really just don't have enough knowledge on this team to know what we're preparing for. And then they come out and make some noise. So that's going to be an interesting one. You guys will know the results of these. Like I mentioned, all these games are Wednesday night. We are recording on Wednesday. We'll release on Thursday. But we'll obviously keep track of the winners and be bringing you the updates as we get along there.
Yeah, I was just say if you're listening along, we'll have the results on the video version.
Yep.
And you can watch it there. And that also applies for the college side because we have a few games that are going to be starting up on Wednesday.
Yes.
As well,
Yes.
which is today. We'll start out in Arlington, in Texas, Globe Life Field, because that is the host site for the Big 12 tournament.
Fantastic stadium.
Yes. It's the one stadium that I have been in the area of that I have never been able to, or that I wasn't able to get to a game for.
Yeah.
Because I live 2 hours away from Dallas, and my dad and I tried to go to a game, and that was the game where the Angels pitcher overdosed in the hotel room the morning of.
Oh my gosh.
And so our game got canceled, and I wasn't able to get back with our tickets for a different one.
Holy.
Yeah. Which, hey, my dad and I made the most of the visit to Arlington, but it was always one of those ones where I was like, dang.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Had it set up and everything. God bless.
Yeah. But right now, as we are talking, Arizona State is playing BYU. Number 5 Arizona State playing BYU. When you and I finish right here, Cincinnati is going to will have played Texas Tech.
Yes.
And so Cincinnati is the number 8 seed in the Big 12. Texas Tech is the 9 seed. If you are listening along right now, if Cincinnati wins, they will be playing number 1 West Virginia.
Okay.
And that is a 12:30 game on Thursday.
Perfect.
For the quarterfinals.
Which will be out by then.
Yes, we will be out by then. What was I about to say? The thing about this tournament is it is a single elimination. So you win, move on, lose, you're out, which is a little different than some of the other tournaments that we'll be talking about. UC is, I just wanted to mention their overall record is 31-23, finished 16-14 in conference. But more importantly, got some awards as of yesterday.
Okay.
Most notably, Player of the Year and First Team Big 12, or All Big 12, I should say, going to Carrington Cross.
Yes.
He
shock of the century.
He's been playing great. Let me pull up some of his stats. He had a .414, 12 home runs, 49 RBIs, 44 walks, 15 stolen bases, and over 50% on base percentage. Leading the Big 12 in batting average, on base percentage, on base plus slugging.
Yeah, OPS.
Yes. I was like, OPS. And then his third in slugging percentage, hits, runs scored, and walks.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. And he is the sixth player. He would be the sixth player in school history to hit 400 in a season, and the first since 2009.
Question.
Yes.
And with no prep time. Was Carrington the best, or did Carrington have the best season of a collegiate tri-state athlete? So like true UK Xavier NKU this year. And I guess Miami. Miami would be included in that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say so.
That's kind of my immediate thought process because, like, I know The Godfather was good, but he wasn't this level in football.
Oh, and you're even saying across the
Yeah. Because, like credit to Kiner and Sorsby and Corleone, but I would put Carrington over them UC-wise.
Yeah.
Xavier obviously doesn't have football.
Xavier basketball was good, but I don't think there was anybody that was really a standout. I mean, I would put Carrington over Jizzle James.
Yeah. NKU didn't really go too crazy one way or the other this year.
Yeah.
So you feel safe.
I feel like most of those were such team like NKU, when we'll mention in a few seconds here, for like baseball is doing well, but it's a team effort.
Right.
Like I don't think there's necessarily one player who is driving everything like it feels like Carrington Cross is.
Well, and I think it helps that, like, obviously Xavier didn't win a Big East Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. There wasn't an NKU guy that won Horizon League Player of the Year. So, like, that kind of helps me wipe out baseball in totality.
Yeah.
So I figured the answer was yes, and I didn't mean to
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, even. Yeah, because I think the other thing too to note is that he is the only first team member. You have an all freshman team member of Quentin Coates, second team Jack Natalie, a couple honorable mentions: Kellen O'Connor, Nathan Taylor, Landon Vidoric. But, like, the other team, like, Miami softball we talked about a couple weeks ago had multiple first-team nominees. And it's like, oh, well, you feel – you can see how they're working from both sides to make the team be a cohesive thing. And, again, having batting averages like that, almost being a record setter for the school, right. I would say this is the year for Carrington Cross.
It felt like a relative layup, but we do have to go through the whole Rolodex and be like, make sure we're not disrespecting.
Yeah, you made it wide enough where then I was like, oh crap, I gotta like think back to.
I should have prepped you, or I should have warned you ahead of time.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But yeah, so we'll see how Cincinnati does for that. Of course, winner of the tournament will get an automatic bid in the NCAA World Series, College World Series.
Yes.
And that applies for all of these tournaments. So let's move on now to the MAC because we will be because Miami is going to be playing in that on Thursday at 2 p.m. They are playing up at Avon, Ohio at the Crushers Stadium. The Lake Erie Crushers, I believe, is the team name.
Such a cool name.
Miami is the number 1 seed. Kent State 2 seed. Ball State, Bowling Green, Toledo, Eastern Michigan are the 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sweet.
Which notably, Bowling Green, Toledo is a fun rivalry to have in a tournament.
Yes.
I always like when you get that little bit of like, ooh, rivalry game.
We got to see with Kentucky and Tennessee in the Sweet 16.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, so Miami is the 1 seed. Let me get to their. I didn't pull up their schedule.
There we go.
Not the Miami Marlins.
I can fill the air. Hold on.
Go for it.
All right. So, all in all, I don't know that I have anything to talk about right now.
So Miami is 32
there we
and
go.
21.
Look at that. That was
23-7 in conference.
What an expert job of filling. All I said was I have nothing to say.
Yeah. It was a couple losses to teams like Ohio. So let me scan this real quick because I don't think they actually lost a series in the MAC this year.
Okay.
And I am confirming that right now.
Yeah.
They never lost a series in the MAC.
Beautiful.
Yes. So that to me that's good. That's a good sign for the Red Hawks. It is a double elimination tournament. Like like we've been saying.
That traditional college format.
So if they do lose, they would play it either, I believe it would be at 2 p.m. on Friday. And they would be playing the winner of. I think it might be just the winner, or not the winner of, but the lowest seed to advance. So if Eastern Michigan upsets Ball State, they'll play Eastern Michigan. If Toledo upsets Bowling Green, they'll play Toledo. If Ball State and Bowling Green, the favorites, win their games, they'll play Bowling Green.
Perfect.
So that is very simple. But now moving a little bit closer to home, because that is up in northeast Ohio, along Lake Erie, but being hosted at Wright State, just in the Dayton area, is the Horizon Tournament, which is where Northern Kentucky is playing. And they are playing on Thursday at 3 p.m.
Okay.
And they will be playing the highest seed winner of either Milwaukee, Purdue-Fort Wayne, Youngstown State, or Oakland, which means they won't be playing Purdue-Fort Wayne no matter what.
Right.
But Northern Kentucky, like we had mentioned, was having a pretty good year so far. There were a few standouts, as we mentioned in our previous episode, that I thought were contributing in good ways. They ended up at 30-23 overall, 18-12 in conference. Some really solid numbers, things like that. But again, that is another double elimination tournament.
Yes.
So I think even if they lose, they have a good chance of not playing until Friday, unless both Wright State and NKU lose. Then then NKU would be playing on the same day. Right, basically it's 7 p.m. instead of right after playing at 3.
Golly.
Which would be tough.
Yeah, that's a brutal turnaround.
Yeah. And then even closer to home is the Big East tournament.
Okay.
Did you know that?
Yes.
It is being played at Prasco Park, I should say. There's 4 seeds, 4 teams: Creighton, UConn, Xavier, St. John's.
Perfect.
I thought you said Harvard, and I was
No.
like, no.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you got fanbase coming in from all over. Xavier, obviously being able to have a home crowd. And I did sit down and talk with the chief of staff with Prasco about how they put this tournament on, and gave us a little bit of insight into what you, the fans, can expect. So let's head on into that. All right, joining me now is Patrick O'Donnell, the chief of staff with Prasco. Thank you for talking with us today.
Yeah, happy to be here, Brad.
So the Prasco, you guys are hosting the Big East tournament starting on Wednesday. I'll mention it's Tuesday right now. Starting tomorrow. By the time this comes out, it'll be the second day of games going on Thursday. So tell me a little bit about how you guys got involved with hosting the Big East tournament. I know it's been a few years now, since 2018, correct? That you guys
That's
have been doing
correct.
this?
Yeah, that was the first year that we hosted. Yep. So in somewhere around 2017, we opened up a conversation with Xavier University, who is the local Big East co-host with us, and they offered us an opportunity and said, "Hey, would we ever have interest in hosting the Big East tournament?" And we've hosted events in the past, and we've hosted baseball tournaments in the past, and it was something that we brought internally here and kind of discussed and thought, "Man, is this something that we would like to be a part of?" And ultimately, it was, and it was a decision that we made that we thought it'd be a great partner to reach out with the Big East, to partner with them. And so we made an application in 2017 and ultimately were awarded the 2018 event. And then we were fortunate enough to be asked to host 2019 as well, which was, kind of a great, pat on the back for us, so to speak, to say, we were just thrilled to be a part of it, and to have an opportunity to do it in 2019 as well. And then we just continued to grow the relationship. So ultimately, last year we signed through 2028. So we will be the host site for the Big East Baseball Championship through the 2028 season.
Awesome. And so how has turnout been those for especially I'll say especially the last few years since the 2020 tournament was canceled and things like that. Do you see a lot of people who are coming in from all over? I know it's St. John's, UConn, uh, Xavier, and the fourth
Creighton
team,
is the number one
Creighton.
seed. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so all coming in from far away, right here to Mason, Ohio. Do you see a lot of fans coming in from all the different teams and things like that?
Sure, we do. Yeah, especially from a family level perspective. So this is an event that really is it's kind of the ultimate goal for these schools to get to this point to then ultimately earn the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. So for these kids, for these parents and these families, there's definitely a very good following. The other fun thing is to hear from some of the local alumni chapters and associations that try to really, entice or invite their local alumni bases to come out and support the event as well as their teams. So it's fun to see, some of the folks that come out wearing, Yukon Huskies or wearing some Creighton Blue Jays garb and hearing some of their stories about, oh, I went to school there in the 90s or in the 80s or what have you. And really to kind of create a community spot for them to come and lock arms with former classmates or other alums and really cheer on their fans or their team. Um, and then from a local standpoint, yeah, we feel like we've developed some pretty good rapport there as well. We've had good attendance. We kind of have a following for Prasco Park itself outside of Big East, but this event certainly seems to draw more of the baseball community as well, and bring some folks in from the greater Cincinnati area who really get to see high level baseball. With the Big East, they're the tremendous field this year, as you mentioned, the four teams, all strong RPIs and all really, I want to say there are at least three 30-win teams here as well. So in college baseball, that's a pretty significant mark to hit the 30-win mark. So we're excited to host it for sure.
Yeah, you're exactly right, especially with the tournament being the top four teams of the Big East, and especially this year that uh, it's kind of a positive negative split in the conference standings and things like that. The one thing I did love that you mentioned the sense of community for fans of different teams, whether it is uh, Xavier graduates that have stuck around in Cincinnati, or it's UConn grads who have moved to the area, or Creighton grads and things like that. Um, that's really what sports is about at the end of the day is finding those fellow fans and getting to spend the time. And I'm sure the park is a great way for people to get that time together during the tournament.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, and quite frankly, that was part of the genesis of the park was to really build a community spot that we could really make an impact here. I think I've mentioned we're a pharmaceutical company. We're a Christian faith-based pharmaceutical company, and part of the impetus to build a baseball stadium on a campus of a pharmaceutical company was, at times some people kind of turned their head and said, "What is that all about?" But to build that outreach opportunity in the local community, and really have an anchor and kind of harken back to some of the barnstorming days from, generations past that team or companies would sponsor local teams and they would travel town to town. That's a little bit of what we're reaching back for and really kind of create that anchor in a community where people can come to enjoy an event, to enjoy cheering on some good quality baseball. So definitely part of our goal and our objectives.
And I believe you have a few community kind of sponsorships and things like that that are involved with each night of the tournament as well,
Yeah,
that
that's
fans
right.
can expect as they turn out.
Yeah, for sure. So each evening of the championship, we have what we call a theme night. So tomorrow night, Wednesday, or I guess it would be yesterday, depending on
Yeah.
when this comes out. Wednesday evening is Montgomery Inn night. So we partner with a local brand and really kind of a staple here in the local community. So every fan that comes out can receive a free barbecue sandwich and those rich Saratoga chips as well. So that's what we do on Wednesday night. And then Thursday night, we go to another, tradition here in Cincinnati, which is La Rosa's Pizza. And that's a free slice of pizza for every fan that comes out. And then Friday evening is hero night for us. And what we do is we have Mission Barbecue as a partner of ours. So we have a touch a truck event as well, so we'll bring out some, local fire trucks and police cruisers and things, and really trying to again create an atmosphere for the fans to be able to come out and enjoy that. And then Saturday is our championship. That's Friday. That's Saturday evening, 5 p.m. is the start time for that. and that's Chick-fil-A night. So another great brand that has been a wonderful partner of ours. And then for post game, so Saturday is an interesting situation. This is a 2-and-out tournament. It's a double elimination tournament.
Yes.
So if the team that is currently 2-0 on Saturday wins the first game, that then the event will be over and we will have a post-game fireworks show as well. Now, if there is a second game, we won't be able to do that just because it would be too late by the time that second game would end. We'd like to be good citizens and good neighbors to
Yeah.
the other folks out here. But yeah, so that's again to your point, trying to create events that families can enjoy. Everything that we do here is complimentary. So there's no charge for tickets or admission. There's no charge for concessions for those, giveaways from Montgomery Inn to La Rosa's to Mission Barbecue to Chick-fil-A. There's no charge for any of that. We want to relieve any of that burden that families may have and just come out and enjoy a night at the ballpark. At the same time, I mentioned our concessions are complimentary. We have free ice cream on site. We have free popcorn on site. We have free inflatables on site. So again, just trying to create something that a family can come, enjoy, watch some high quality baseball, do it, at cost free, and hopefully walk away and say, boy, that was really special. There was something different about that. And we're blessed to be able to share it. We feel like God's blessed this company, and it gives us an opportunity to share those blessings with other people.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's bigger than baseball. It's bigger than sports. It brings everybody together. And to me personally, I remember being a little kid and going to baseball games where maybe I wasn't always interested in what was happening out on the field, but it builds a love for the game, and that keeps fans coming back each year and things like that as well.
Sure. Yeah, and I think the other thing here is the accessibility to the players as well.
Hmm.
One of the really cool things for us, college baseball doesn't always have a ton of youth interaction engagement, but here we're such an intimate environment that you'll see a lot of kids go up and ask for autographs from these college players. And not everybody on this field will play beyond college baseball. Most of them won't. For there will be a very select few that have an opportunity to go on and play professional baseball. But to have that opportunity and give them an opportunity to breathe some life into, the youth, like you just said, somebody that, hey, may have watched a couple of innings, may have spilled an ice cream along the way, may have gone and grabbed a souvenir, but nonetheless, to have that interaction with a college athlete, again, that's part of what we're trying to create for the student athletes who come out here and play as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And I I was gonna say, is there anything else that you want to add? I'll go over the full schedule in just a minute with Jackson when we go back into the studio. But is there anything else that you want to say to the people that are listening that may be considering coming out?
Yeah, that's a great question. We really want to share what God's blessed us with. When you come out, we will open every game that we have here with a prayer, and it's not to be overbearing to anybody, but it's what we believe in and it's who we are. So we start every game with a prayer out here, and it's brief, but hopefully again it's something that people come, enjoy it, they hear that, and maybe walk away and have just a deeper sense of appreciation for what God's blessed us here with. So we try to share that and do that in that manner. So that would be something I think is important to share, and it's important to us, and it's important to who we are.
Perfect. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate sharing a little bit of a look behind the curtain as you guys get ready to put this on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brad. We appreciate the time.
All right, let's head back in. All right, and as he mentioned, first games were on Wednesday night, so here's the score of the Xavier UConn game. If you are watching along on fox19.com, on the sports app, on our
YouTube,
many different video platforms, if Xavier has lost, they will be playing on Thursday at 2:30.
Okay.
If Xavier has won, they will be playing at 6:30 against the winner of Creighton St. John's, and I'll have that preview up as well. The nice thing about this is if you win out, you don't play Friday.
Okay.
And so there's a good chance that they could be playing on Saturday again. And as he mentioned, if the winning team just wins all 3 games straight through for a double from the double elimination tournament, there will be a fireworks show on Saturday because it would be ending around 8 versus if they have to play a second game at 8:30, they will not because they want to be good neighbors.
Yes,
which I agree with.
you have to be nice to the surrounding area. But it is very cool, like the concession setup, and that you don't have to pay for a ticket. Like there's really no excuse to get out and watch some good ball. Because it's right in our backyard, man.
Well, it's such a good setting, and like he kind of mentioned, it's such a good setting for kids too. That if you have I would say if you have a kid like 5 to 10, something like that, you go to a Reds game, you maybe get down close. You go for warm ups and stuff like that. You get down kind of close to the field. You can get really close to these players, and obviously you don't want to bother them while they're focused on the game, but you can that's the kind of stuff that sparks kids' interest in sports moving forward, and they see the one Xavier player that does really well. They want to be that guy, stuff like that.
Absolutely. Where I grew up, the closest minor league or the closest hockey team in general was a minor league team called the Mississippi River Kings.
Yeah,
and my dad and I would drive to South Haven, Mississippi, and watch them. And you get right up on the glass, and they'll toss a puck over, and you're hanging out and having a good time. That's what does it for you. And especially when you're that young, it doesn't mean any different. They're still pro athletes or very high level athletes at the collegiate level. And you get this much more wide fan engagement that I would argue is a better experience than like going to a Reds game is most days. Just because it is naturally a little bit more of an not welcoming, but more of an inclusive atmosphere, I guess.
Yes, I like that because, you mentioned that. I grew up in Fort Wayne. We have a single A team that is the affiliate of the Padres. Used to be the affiliate of the Twins, but like Torrey Hunter played for us, and I got to watch him when I was very young. And then I always remember some Twins games would be on. My dad would be like, "You saw him play?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool."
It's like I absolutely did. Well, and then y'all had like the Mad Ants too out there, right?
We used to.
Yeah,
yes.
I got wiped, but you had G League basketball.
There was G League basketball, and then there was ECHL, the Comets.
Yeah.
And I have a signed hockey puck from the Comets from Colin Chalk, who was a longtime player there.
That's cool.
Team captain, stuff like. I mean, that's sitting on my desk. I'll show it to you when we get back.
Yeah.
But but yeah, like that's. And I always think back to also things like the Dayton Dragons, where I have a Jesse Winker Dayton Dragons bobblehead.
Sweet, super sweet.
Because it's like it's, and college baseball is such a weird thing because of the way baseball recruiting and kind of works, where you get some kids that come just straight out of high school, that not always is college necessarily the next step, like it is for football, like it is for basketball. You sometimes go to play college baseball because that's the end of your career,
right?
In the sport, and there's thousands of college athletes in the NCAA every year. Not all of them are going pro,
right?
Something, or
it's such a minor
majority of them are going pro in
right.
something other than sports.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
that advertisement is burned into my brain. But yeah, and obviously these teams want support. And when you're Xavier, you're just up the road from the university. It's easy to go out and show that support.
It's a good old time.
Yeah,
make use of it. You don't get a conference tournament game in your backyard every year.
No,
like it's a valuable.
Here, yeah,
yes, but you know what I mean. You didn't have to do that.
They've been doing it for 8 years now.
But it's certainly not for free with. Free food,
I would say that
all kinds of hangouts and
the amenities that they have offered is huge. And if I had a bunch of kids that I have family to take out, or even just friends that wanted to go out
right
on a Thursday, Friday, Wednesday night, it's like that's a way to spend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that is all we have for this week. And so, of course, as always, be sure to subscribe on whatever audio listening format you like the most: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. We're all there. And then, of course, you can also subscribe to the Fox 19 YouTube page, where you'll see this video. You'll see things like not Kicking It with Ken, but, you will see Kicking It with Ken, but also Tri-State Travel Treasures.
Got Crime Vault in there.
Crime Vault stories. There's a playlist for our podcast, along with the Beyond the Crime Vault podcast that Jessica Schmidt does as well. Plenty of great content that you can take in when you want something entertaining to watch.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
But that is all that we have for this week. So thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.